Kadagatame loosely translates to shoulder hold. For our purposes, we think of a kadagatame as a shoulder strangle. So unlike a guillotine where our one arm blocks both carotids, now we have our arm on one side and my partner's own shoulder position on the other side. We're going to look at a few variations of kadagatame. We're going to start now with the Schultz strangle that's associated with the late wrestler Dave Schultz of the infamous Foxcatcher wrestling team. So right from this front headlock position, what we're going to think about doing is on the side of our hand that's controlling our partner's elbow, we're going to take our palm and we're going to turn it upward so that my wrist runs right into my partner's elbow. My hand that was on the chin is now going to advance to a palm-to-palm grip. The purpose of this is to stop my partner from expanding her elbow position. So as Savannah goes to widen her right elbow, I'll have the ability to easily compress it and move it out of the way. For our first finish here, we're just going to take our head in the hole and we're just going to keep everything tight. You see how as I move my partner's elbow, it meets that condition of bringing my partner's shoulder into a carotid artery. So right from here, I advance to that palm-to-palm position and I move that elbow out of the way. Now I drive my head in to keep it here, I build onto my toes, and I drop my far hip. Now from here, I just drive weight forward, and we get a very strong strangle right from this position. Front head and arm, palm to palm, we move the elbow. We drive our head inside of the hole, we step up, we squeeze for a nice finish. Now, often this is a threat we'll use as a precursor to our next kadagatame, front kadagatame, also known as an anaconda strangle. So right from this same spot, palm to palm, I start moving my partner's elbow out of the way. This time as I throw my head in the hole, we're going to advance toward a move called an Olympic roll. Where as I throw my head under, I cross my legs and I roll my partner by. Now, with my partner's elbow nice and compressed, I'm going to transfer that control from my left wrist to my left knee. This allows me to advance from a palm-to-palm grip to a figure four and take my hand and cover my partner's top shoulder. Once I cover the shoulder, I can take my chin to close the circle. Now it's simply a matter of walking my hips in and compressing, and we get a nice finish with this front kadagatame anaconda strangle. Palm to palm, we move that elbow out of the way. Head in the hole, we roll underneath, and we cover our partner's elbow. So as my partner tries to open that elbow, it's obstructed by my knee. Now we advance, figure four, we cover, we walk the hips in for a very tight finish. Next one we'll look at is the idea of a seated kadagatame. From this same situation, as I move the elbow, this time instead of throwing my head in the hole, I'm just going to perform a knee slide with my right knee. So I throw that knee in and I return to a position that we used earlier where my foot blocks my partner's hip. Just like we did previously, I take that second leg and I throw it over the top. Unlike the guillotine strangles we looked at, however, instead of driving my right elbow forward and toward my hip, I'm going to actually think about retracting my elbow and pulling my head back. The effect this is going to have is it's going to pull my partner's neck into her shoulder and it's going to intensify the pressure. Just like so. We go palm to palm, we move that elbow out of the way. We slide in position and we take our hands high. We resist the temptation to drive our elbow inward, and instead we think about retracting that elbow for a nice tight finish. We also have our inverted kadagatame, darce strangle. From this same position, what I'm going to think about doing now is I'm going to lock my hands in a 10-finger grip this time. Right from here, I'm just going to take my knee right behind my partner's elbow, and I'm going to lace my hands through. This is going to allow me now to close my elbow over the top of my partner's head. So if Savannah tries to bring her head high, that elbow blocks it. And now I want to roll my partner over her far shoulder toward this far corner. As soon as I do that, I punch my hand in and I bring my ear to my partner's back. This slows my partner's ability to bring her back to the floor. Now from here, I punch that hand through so that my elbow blocks the back of my partner's head, and I once again get to a figure four. Just like we did previously, we're going to take our hand to the top shoulder and we'll cover with our chin. Bunch of ways we can finish from here. First one, we just take our knee to the hip. As we're compressing our arms, I want to think about using my overhook hand, my left arm in this case, and I think about bringing that elbow toward the ceiling. As I'm doing that, I think about using my right elbow to crunch my partner's chin to her chest. I do these two motions together, and we get a nice strong finish. From here, for whatever reason this finish doesn't feel strong enough, we just take our head to the floor, and we advance to full mount. We once again retract that elbow for a strong finish. Even if my partner were to bridge to the top, maybe she bridges toward her right side, we're just going to end up inside of a closed guard, and from here, strangle is arguably even tighter. From our initial front headlock control, we bring hands together, we move behind the elbow. From here, we tilt our partner over, we get ear to back, and we punch the strangle hand in. We advance our hands to a figure 4, we cover the top shoulder. Finish 1, we just take a knee to the hip, we rotate, we get a finish. Finish 2, head to the floor, we advance to mount, we finish. Even if our partner bridges to top, we just keep that head trapped, and we finish right from this position. As we break our partner down, the main battle from this position now is my ability to get my elbow behind my partner's head. This is where most of your darce strangles are going to fail. I break my partner down, my partner sees what's happening, she starts to bring her head back. Now I'm unable to compress the head, and often I'm unable to get to my bicep for that full figure 4. So as I break my partner down, I try to get my elbow behind, my partner chases with the head. I try to get to a full figure 4, and I just don't feel I can do it, okay? This is where we go into another version of inverted kata gatame, sometimes referred to as a Japanese necktie, other times referred to as a short darce. So as I try to get my elbow behind, Savannah walks her head back, I'm unable to do it. What I'm gonna look to do instead then is I'll just settle for a palm to wrist grip. With a palm to wrist grip, I can bring my elbow high and in, and I can block my partner's head. Because I don't have the figure 4, however, I'll be unable to finish from this position. But what I can do is I can replace what should have been my elbow behind the head with my stomach. So as I'm palm to wrist, I throw my stomach to the back of Savannah's head. Just like so. Now she tries to bring that head back, unable to do it. From here, I walk my hips forward, and we get a very strong version of this inverted kata gatame. We start to break our partner down. I'm looking to get my elbow behind the head for the figure 4, I'm unable to do it. So I just settle for palm to wrist. Now I close the elbow, and I get my stomach on the back of the head. And from here, I'm just compressing for a nice strong finish. One last example we'll look at, one that's often not included in this series, is a Peruvian necktie. Okay? Peruvian necktie is not commonly thought of as a kata gatame, but it shares many of those similarities in common, and it once again incorporates your partner's shoulder into the strangle. So from that same situation, I step behind the elbow, I link fingertips, I go to break my partner over. This time my partner widens her base, and I'm unable to break my partner down over that shoulder. From here, I'll typically switch to a palm-to-palm grip as it's a little bit stronger. Right from this position, I take some weight off my right leg so I can step it over my partner's head. As I sit to a hip now, my second leg comes over my partner's body. Now I merely extend my legs as I retract my arms, and we get a very strong version of this strangle. We step behind that elbow. I try to break my partner over. My partner widens that base of support. I advance palm to palm. I trap the head. Now as we sit, we cover the body, we extend, and we get a nice finish with this variation of kata gatame. And then finally, to be most effective with kata gatames, you want to have the ability to combine your attacks and use the threat of one finish to move toward another, both with your ability to incorporate kata gatames into your guillotine attacks and other variations of kata gatame. So some examples of this. Maybe I go to move around my partner once again initiates a tight waist. From here, I sit through to my arm in guillotine, and I'm ready to attack like so. As you're practicing arm in guillotine, you'll likely encounter scenarios where you feel you have all the elements, but your partner goes into some resistance, maybe a tripod as an example, and you feel like you have everything, but you're just unable to finish for one reason or another. A great transition we can make here is we take our bottom leg, we kick away, we make a little bit of space. That allows our second leg to pummel inside so that our legs are momentarily in something of an X guard. Now our top leg comes out, and as it comes out, my bottom leg slides up to replace that. Now we're in the perfect position to initiate a sumigashi. I just press off of my foot, I look over my shoulder, and I take my partner by just like so. From here, I'm just going to think about opening my top leg, trapping my partner's elbow. As my hands lace in, I once again get to this front kadagatame, and we get to a nice finish. So I go to move around the corner, I go to attack with arm in guillotine. From here, my partner goes into a defensive posture, I'm unable to finish. We make space for our bottom leg to come in, top leg comes out, we hit a nice sumigashi. We compress our partner's elbow, lace our hands through, and advance to a figure four. Now as we advance our hips forward, we get to a nice finish. As another example, maybe as I move my partner's elbow by, I go through to an initial seated kadagatame. Okay? Now, because in a seated kadagatame, I'm retracting my elbow rather than driving it in, very often your partner is going to turn her chest toward the ceiling and expose her back to avoid the threat of this kadagatame. You will sometimes have opponents, however, that look to fall across to the far hip. As my partner does this, I once again cover that top elbow. I once again lace my hands through. I punch my hand through, and as the seated kadagatame fails, we get a nice front kadagatame finish. And then finally, maybe out of situations where I'm thinking about that Peruvian necktie. I go to take my partner over for a darce strangle, my partner widens her base, I can't break her over. I go palm to palm, I step over the head. Very commonly, as you step over the head, your partner knows the second leg is coming, so before you can get that second leg in place, they roll over their shoulder. Now, we can just pop up, we go right back to our inverted katagatame for the finish. Once again, we go darce, our partner defends. We go Peruvian, your partner rolls. And we get to a nice inverted kata gatame.